Man, this is all sorts of embarrassing, huh? So, you're gonna shoot me or what?
What would you do if I abstracted tomorrow?
I'd jerk off. And I'd think about you.
Okay. Okay.
Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back. So you want to know how I do the things I do when it comes to these remixes, huh? Mainly in the visualizer department. People on my Discord has been asking me how I do this kind of stuff, so I might as well make a tutorial to show you how I did it. Now, to be honest, there are many ways you could do what I do here. You could be a psychopath and use Adobe Animate and do it that way. Other than that, any other video editor will work. But if you want to use my method, here's how it goes. What you need to do is to find the character you wish to work on. Go on the Funkin' Wiki or go on any Friday Night Funkin' Wiki and you'll find sprites for that specific character. Download those sprites. You'll need them. Right, left, up, down, taunts, idle, all of it. This goes for any character, even boyfriend. Once you have your sprites, download them as GIFs. Don't download the statics. You don't need them. In fact, they'll only get in the way. Once you have your GIFs, go into Power Director, put them behind the green screen. Now, I will warn you, depending on the character's color, you might want to change the color of the screen. For example, boyfriend, I use the green screen for that because if I use the blue screen, it's going to conflict with his hair, and that's going to cause a mess. As long as he has something blue on him, I cannot use a blue screen. Girlfriend doesn't have anything blue on her, so it's safe for me to use a blue screen if I really want to. I can even put her in a green screen and there would be no problems. But I can never put her in a pink screen because she has a lot of red on her. These are important things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing these characters. Because in order to use the green screen effectively, we're going to rely on a tool called Chroma Key. And what is the Chroma Key exactly? It basically gives you the ability to turn any color of your choice into an alpha color. What's an alpha color? Do you know what a transparent image is? You know, those PNGs, pictures of characters without a background. Well, in truth, the character does have a background, you just can't see it because it's transparent. And the reason why it's transparent is because it's an alpha color. This is also important to keep in mind when you're doing these characters. You got your character, now you're ready to do this. I'll actually have to show you how this is done because you can't just slap it behind a green screen and call it a night. It's not that simple, at least not for me. So for this example, I'm going to use Zephaniah, the lyrical genius of Friday Night Funkin'. Here's how this is going to go down. So the first things first, we need to grab an idle animation. We're going to use that as our base for all of our poses. We're going to change the aspect ratio to a size that is more appropriate. I like to use this aspect ratio because it gives me more room. It's better to enlarge a character, but don't make them too large because there are some poses out there that can go out of bounds if you're not careful. So I think this, let me go a little bit smaller. I think this is a perfect size for him, and we're just gonna leave him like that. I'm gonna slide this down here, turn it into an overlay. Then we're going to grab a green wall, put it behind him, raise it up, just darken it a little bit. We don't want it too bright. Okay, so this is perfect. So here we have his idle animation here. It loops automatically because it's a GIF right now, right? It's a GIF right now. So everything's good. So how do we make him do another pose? We're gonna duplicate this because we want our next GIF to be the exact same size, right? We're going to duplicate it, hit replace, and we're going to find another pose that is appropriate for him. And we're going to use this guy right here. Now, as you can see, his forward pose is a bit out of place, so that when he switches, right? when he switches to that pose, give me a second. When he switches to that pose, yeah, it just looks lazy. Yeah, it looks very lazy. And not only that, he shrinks when he does it too. We're going to fix that problem right now. So here's what we need to do. I need you to pay attention to the idol shoes, okay? The Zephaniah in the middle, we're going to call that an idol. And the one that's in front of him right now, we're going to call that the right pose. So I need you to pay attention to the idol shoes right here, right? What we're going to need to do is that we're going to line it up, right? We're going to need to line it up. Alright, so you can already see the issue here. Let me move this aside. You can already see the issue here, right? He's out of bounds. That means the idol is too damn big. And so is this pose. So we're going to need to shrink this guy a little bit. Just shrink him down a little. See, there we go. Now, what we need to do is line up this guy's shoes with the idol shoes. So pay attention to where the shoes are. Pay attention to the line. Pay very close attention. You got to be precise with this. You got to be very careful. I think he's still too big, so let me shrink him down just a little bit more so that he doesn't go out of bounds. Remember, he has to be the exact same size as his idol animation, otherwise it'll just look weird. Okay? So we're going to shrink him down just a little. Just a little bit. We're going to shift him right here. So you see how this looks, right? If you did it right, it should execute well. So, oh, that looked good. Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, that looks pretty decent, if you ask me. That looks pretty nice. I like it. You got to do this with every single pose. Every single one of them. Pick a limb, like an arm, a hand, a head, or mainly the feet. Pick a limb and pay attention to that when it comes to adding these poses. Because you can't just slap them on here and call it a night. Otherwise it's going to look weird, as I showed you earlier. You see now that it looks great, right? That's because you did it right. You lined it up perfectly. You lined it up perfectly. You sized it up perfectly. And now he's doing what he's supposed to do. But we're not done. You have to do this with every single pose, every single taunt, every single special animation that they got. You need to render each GIF in video form. Put each and every last one of them in a separate file. Allow me to show you how to do that real quick. Alright, so you see how we have the idle animation and we got the forward pose, right? We want them to be its own separate file. So how do we do that? So first things first, we're going to delete this guy, completely wipe him from existence, and we're just going to have the idle animation right here, just the idle. We're going to render this one in any quality you prefer. I suggest going for the highest quality possible for better results. 60 or 30, it doesn't really matter. Just don't go here. Trust me, you don't want to go here. You can either choose 30 or 60. That's purely your choice. Name it. Call this Zeph Idol, since this is the idle animation. And you're gonna want to hit produce. Once you're done, you're gonna want to render the poses now. So how do you do that? You just deleted the pose. Well, luckily we have this thing called the undo button, so we can just rewind back and bring everything back. But the idol's back too, so what's going on? Well, we delete this guy, slide this back, trim this, call this Zephaniah right, and you were just gonna hit produce right there, and there you have it. Now both of them are in their own file, and if you ever want to get your poses back, just hit the undo button, and there you go. You don't have to reposition everything, you don't have to do all that work again, and you don't have to crash out. It's a win-win for all of us. Alright, so you finished all of your poses. You finished all of the animation. What now? Well, now we get to the real fun part. the part that you're watching this video for. This. Want to do that? I'll show you. Watch closely. So as you can see, we already had a head start here, and you can see that I made a lot of decisions here, a whole lot. So what we're doing here is that we're going to replicate the chart of the gameplay from the mods themselves, and here's how we do that. So what you need to do is record the gameplay from the mod, right? Put that video in the corner right here as an overlay. You're gonna want to replicate it as much as possible. Here's how to do that. So obviously I made it harder on myself by adding that little text there, but I can see where the arrows hit, so it's not much of a problem for me, but I did make it a little harder on myself, sorry. So what's happening here is that he's going to hit the down pose on this frame, and you notice how it turned black? That's because I need to give him his down pose. So let me go ahead and dig down here and grab his down pose file. See, there we go, we slapped it on there. And I'm paying attention to the video that's in the corner because I noticed that he's not repeating frames. He's just literally rolling his eyes on the first loop. So I'm not gonna alter this clip. I'm not gonna alter this clip at all, but I am going to move backwards a little because I need to pay attention to that forward arrow that's about to hit. So see how that forward arrow hit and he hit his forward pose? I need to grab a file for that. So here's the file for that. Strike a pose right there, buddy. And it seems he immediately hit his back pose after that too. So I need to go get the back pose for a second. And he immediately hits his forward pose again. So I need to grab the forward pose yet again. I have to do this for every single note. Every single note. This is how I do it. You want to chart it in video form, this is how you do it. You have to hit every single note and do it right. So he hits the forward pose, then he hits the up pose. Move back a little bit because you don't want to go too far. You want to be on point when it comes to these notes. So we're going to hit the up note. And for the final note, we're going to hit the forward one again. But you'll notice that this forward note has a hold on it. And I'm sure you know what happens when there's a hold on a note, right? They tend to sing for a long time, but if I just leave it like this, it's gonna loop. So how do I stop that from happening? I have to be very precise when I do this. So I start here and then I slowly slide to the left so I can watch the preview as it goes. And once he twitches right there, I gotta trim that part. And then I gotta select the first few seconds and hit the duplicate button. I gotta spam it. Yeah, just spam it. Just spam, just spam, just spam, just spam. Just spam that shit. You'll notice that in the video in the corner is starting to fade out. But that's alright. You just gotta hold it. You just gotta spam it. Spam, spam, spam. Just keep spamming it. It gets tedious, but this is how I do it. This is my method, and it's much easier for me. Sometimes it gets a little laggy, but I have to power through it. So it seems that's where the note ends because that red line is gone, as you can see. It's not there anymore. So I don't need to spam it no more. It's over. I can go ahead, trim this part, and put him right back into idle mode. Right here. Because that's it. And that's pretty much how I do the charting. Gotta do this for every single note, every single taunt, and every single special animation that's there. If you do this right, if you do this correctly, this is what will happen when you render the video. But it's not over yet, my friends. My remix also has those backgrounds. So, how did I get the backgrounds? Well, these backgrounds and foregrounds are more than just backgrounds and foregrounds. They're actually assets to the mod. So, what you need to do is download the mods themselves, go into their assets, look inside of their folders, and find the textures that you will need. For example, this is from VersusSonic.exe, I believe. I went inside this mods folder, took every asset from this stage, and slapped it onto Blender. I do this by adding images as planes. Now there's a tutorial on how to do that, but if you need a template, I got you. It's in the link down below. Now when you open this template, you're going to notice that it looks a bit weird, but it is absolutely necessary if you want the background to look as good as the way I made it. The camera is specifically placed, the assets are specifically placed, the background and foreground are specifically placed as well. All of this is to make the background look as good as possible. To make any background look as good as possible. All you have to do now is replace the texture and be done with it. Now, depending on what asset you use, you might need to resize the mesh to make it look right, but outside of that, you're basically done. Now, you may notice in the template that there's these two little boxes in front. That's for Boyfriend and his opponent. But for this example, we're only going to try and put Zephaniah in. So, how do we get Zephaniah into Blender? So, we're in Blender right now as we speak, and you notice that we have two purple boxes. The smaller box is for Boyfriend, and the bigger box is for the opponent. This is due to the fact that there are certain characters that are bigger than Boyfriend on average, so I always make sure to make a bigger box. But now we can get started on putting Zephaniah in. And we do that by going into the shader tab. Okay, so I need you to pay attention to this, right? You see how it says 9,500 frames, I don't know, fuck it, I don't know, 9,500, I don't give a damn, 9,500 frames. I did this on purpose because sometimes I can never guess where the final frame is, so I just put it up here, and that's usually for 2 minutes or 3, but that doesn't really matter. So we're gonna use this guy right here, and you see that the green screen is still there, but that's going to change when we go into the viewport, right? So we go into the viewport shading, and boom, he's all cleaned up. But you'll start to notice he has a few green edges here. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. They're a little bit hard to get rid of. You could always increase the brightness of this transparent BSDF. Increase the brightness, and it should clear up most of it. You don't want to go too high because the thing about the green screen is that it affects the yellow color too, and since obviously Zephaniah's teeth isn't clean, it's going to affect him a lot. Let me show you. Yeah, it affects him bad. It also messes up his entire character. So just a little nudge here and there. I think this is perfectly fine. Yeah, this is good enough. This right here, good enough. If you hit play right now, you'll notice that he's not moving. There's a reason for that. and it's for the reason that I showed you earlier. See, the reason why I put it on 9500 is so I can figure out where the final frame is. So, let's move back one more time, and then we're gonna hit play. You see that he's moving on his own, right? Don't worry about the glitches because it won't look like that when you try to render it. But yeah, he's actually moving on his own now. This makes it a whole lot easier to look at. This is how I measure the quality of my videos to make sure that nothing's wrong with it. And while it may look glitchy at first, it does get better when I hit render animation. It does get better when I do that. But right now we're trying to see where the final frame is. Yeah, he's still going. Alright, he just froze. That means the frame ends right around here. Damn, that's a lot of frames. So 3,000 plus frames. That's how much that was. That's pretty much where the frame ends. And when my remixes end, I tend to stop it at the frame at which the song actually ends, and then I hit render animation, and then you start getting stuff like this. That's pretty much the end of the story. I do this every single time, every single day. If you want to take a look at the template yourself, feel free to do so. Other than that, this is Maniac, signing out.
Have you ever played Blox Fruits with your life on the line while having a bunch of mangoes in your mouth? Well, this is called Dark Mango Psychology. Now, in Dark Mango Psychology, you'll realize the mangoes ain't just your normal mangoes. They are dark.